Welcome to Palworld, a creature capture game similar to Pokemon, but with guns. In this game, you can capture, build, and even slaughter your enemies. I have 100 days to beat Palworld with just 3 lives and take the heads of every faction leader in the game. The rules of this challenge are simple. Firstly, to complete Palworld and beat all faction leaders within 100 days. Do not die more than 3 times or the challenge is over. I also have a list of what I want to accomplish during these 100 days, so if you want to read over them, then feel free. Okay, baby, let's get into it. We woke up with a weird-ass sheep, cat, and chicken staring into our soul, and a hidden message saying the towers are the key. The tree holds the truth. Whatever that means. Spawning in with a devil-like chicken looking at me, we came out of the ruins and uncovered a beautiful-looking island. We pressed E on this weird-looking totem and talked to a sexy, hot, romantic-looking gentleman. She gave me some wood. We gathered stone, wood, and even random berries on the floor, and progressed to level 2. After gathering materials, we crafted our first primitive workbench. Within our workbench, we were given the option to make a stone pickaxe. So we did, and mined some sweet rocks, and even leveled up to level 3. We then made a stone axe, and put our levels into health. You know, considering we only have 3 lives and all. After leveling up, we found something in our inventory called a technology tree. Although I won't be showing this much in our 100 days, if you've ever played Ark, it's the same as an engram tree. So, we unlocked just about everything, and finally, we made a club along with one singular Palsphere. This was similar to a Pokeball in Pokemon and would allow us to catch our first Palmon. Like any other normal human being, we beat the absolute shit out of a sheep and threw our balls into its face. And according to this game, we did it absolutely flawlessly because now we had a land ball and it was worth it because come on, look at this little guy. He's cute. And not only that, but look, he is literally crafting for us. After catching our first slave, we proceeded to commit deforestation and de-rock station, if that's even a thing. And so far, I must admit, this first day was going pretty well. While wandering around, we heard a shimmer-like noise. So, we followed it, hoping it was a way out of this island. But, in fact, it was this huge cat. Bazonka's big. And it was glowing. I didn't want to fuck with no big-ass cat. So like any other normal guy, we fled. After going downhill, we came across some glowy blue rocks and chipped away at them. This gave us paldium fragments, which was used to make Palspheres. We then found a crimson chest that needed a key and found a journal to which someone had wrote. Although journals are cool and stuff, I wasn't really here to unlock the lore of this game. I'm here to fuck up some pals, make them my slaves, and give those towers the spanking they deserve. So, we left. Anyway, going down the stream, we came across this beautiful looking waterfall. On the way to the waterfall, we came across this behemoth, a Mammarist. And I vowed on that day that one day we could put him in our balls. The sun was setting, so we placed down our first pal box. This was the foundation of the base and is used to store our pals. And finally, towards the end of the day, we built a wooden shack, placed down a bed, Minecraft style, and went to sleep, hoping that this was just all some weird dream. On day 2, we woke up and surprisingly, it wasn't a dream. So we came out of our wooden shack, said hi to Lamball, and found a really cool pal that looked like a plant. We proceeded to mine some blue rocks, place down a primitive workbench, and make some Palspheres. But suddenly, we saw a human crossing our bridge. It was a wandering merchant. We sold him some berries, and in return, bought his arrows. It was a good trade-off. We then chopped down a tree and made a bow to go with our new arrows. With all our pal balls and arrows, we decided to catch another land ball. And we did. In this game, if you catch 10 of the same pal, you get a huge amount of XP. So that was the plan. And we also killed the witness for fun. We used the wool of the dead sheep to make cloth and turned it into armor. We looked sick. Moving on, we mined stone and wood and created a storage box. Making this allowed us to advance to base level 2. And we had already made both of the next level, so we moved up to level 3. And if you level up your power box, you increase the number of pals that can work at the base. And also the amount of bases you can have. So it was essential we leveled this up. We then made a primitive spear along with a campfire, mined more trees, and made something called a feed box. This allowed our pals to automatically be fed at the base. Towards the end of day 2, we made a bed for our pals to sleep in. And with the full moon being out, we decided to sleep as well. It was day 3 and we woke up. So we immediately went out. We walked past Plant Man and tamed some sheep. They couldn't escape the Epicinator. It wasn't possible. And we even found a purple chest with a megasphere in it. This was our lucky day. We then went back to base, made a repair bench, and repaired our tools in there. And we then decided to make a ranch. This ranch would give us wool when we assigned our lamb balls in it. This was a good day. Later on, we made more pal beds to level up our base. And at this point, we were hooked on making our base stronger and stronger. So we did the next challenge, which was to make a berry plantation. We then discovered our lamb balls have already gave us wool. Loads of it. So we made some cloth and crafted a parachute. We could now float. Floating down the hill like a cloud, we went out and searched for some prey. We came across the devil chickens and sniped them like a G. These creatures were from the spawn of hell. So we caught one and killed its friend. We also found a cute looking penguin. This little guy was level 6. So we shot him a few times, threw our balls at him, and caught our first pal that actually looked somewhat strong. It was getting dark, so we went back to base and... oh my. That is a lot of wool. Our Lambos literally shat out wool like it's nothing. On day 4, we woke up and made something called a statue of power. This was essentially used to make our pals stronger. But we needed some sort of soul to do so. We saw a pink cat at the border of our base and caught it. But all of a sudden, war music arose and enemies were coming in. At this moment, we were in big trouble. We only had 3 lives on this challenge and a penguin to defend us. 3 lizards came in and attacked our base. We threw a pal ball at one, shot the others, and threw a pal ball at another. We caught 2, killed 1, and lived to die another day. We were safe. The lizards we caught would now pay their debt by being forced to work for all eternity. Knowing our new lizard friends weren't going anywhere, we made pal beds for them. We gathered paldium fragments, wood, crafted some cloth, and made a pal gear workbench. This was used to make saddles for our pal friends. With our new pal workbench, we could officially level up to base level 6. So we did. Finishing day off 4, we made a logging site and a stone pit. This would enable our pals to mine wood and stone. On day 5, we went downhill once more and came across a fiery looking fox. We shot it and he returned fire. Feeling lucky, we lobbed a ball from a mile away and somehow actually hit the fox box, capturing it. We also decided to catch more lamb balls in the process for more XP. We now officially have caught 10 out of 10 lamb balls and completed lamb ball. We traveled around and found a tree looking like Pal, so we fucked him up and caught him. We even leveled up. We then went further downhill and found a huge flying bird, as well as a teleport point. I wanted that bird so bad, but we only had 3 lives, so we decided against it. Instead, we killed some fox barks for flame organs and turned those flame organs into a fox bark saddle. After finishing our expedition, we saw a huge mammoth. This was called the King of the Forest. Rightly so. We went back to base and made the fox bark saddle with our little penguin friend. We could now shoot flames out of fox barks. And I'll be honest, this was by far the strongest weapon we had in our arsenal. We spent the rest of day 5 making a crusher. This allowed us to convert stone into paldium fragments and wood into fiber. On day 6, we took foxbarks out on a walk and saw some purple deer. They looked cool. We ventured further into the forest and found one of the 5 towers. This was absolutely massive. We also came across a small power soul along with a giant hole in the earth, a dungeon. We did not want to attempt this yet. Gunshots were heard from afar. It was Syndicate's thugs and a Nightwing. We picked up Foxbox and set Nightwing ablaze, and in the process, we almost died, so we retreated back to cover. We shot the Syndicate thug and were safe. We cleared out the rest of the thugs, aka one, and rescued a pangolin that had been incapacitated. It was getting dark, so we teleported back to base, watched Gumos spit out seeds sexily, and went to sleep. It was day 7, and we've officially been on this island for a week. Honestly, I'm actually surprised we haven't died at this point. Anyway, we made Foxbox stronger with the power soul we found yesterday, and set up sandbags to defend our base. We put Lamball in charge. We then found a deer that was attacking a penguin, and realized it would look good in my balls. So, we let them fight it out, and caught it. We added the deer onto our team, picked him up balls first, and put him into labor. We now had a wood chopper. This was perfect. Feeling adventurous, we went out further than we ever have before, and found a tansy along with a teeth ant. So we caught them both, and while exploring, we came across a boss called Chillit. Being only level 11, we picked up the Foxbox and set it ablaze. We did insane damage and got it one shot, and after a few throws, we fucking caught it! We just caught our first ever boss. After catching the huge blue ferret, we headed back to base and decided to jump off a cliff to get to the other side. And due to my absolute stupidity, we fell into the water and yes, we started drowning and we died. Now, I'm going to be honest, I thought maybe our first death would be something more ferocious, like a bear or some sort of dragon, but no! Our first death was from drowning in a game that wasn't even focused on water. Oh my god. I can't even. On the bright side, we had a big blue ferret thing. Was it worth it? Probably not. After losing all of our gear on day 7, we started to remake it. But suddenly, a raid started. This was bad. We had nothing but our pals to defend with. The first wave was wolves, so we fled back and punched the shit out of one. The next was lizards, and luckily our pals managed to handle it. We were extremely lucky. Wasting no time, we recreated our tools and moved the workbench for privacy reasons, because sometimes I like to make dirty items, if you know what I mean. Anyway, we finished creating our armor and bow, along with arrows and a parachute. After realizing how hard it would be to beat this game, we took it one step further and made a 3-shot bow. This was sick. It literally shoots 3 arrows at once. And finally, a feathered headband along with a shield. We were now a lot stronger. It became nightfall, and we found a glowy looking pal called Daydream. So we caught it, and 2 more of them. And finally, we caught a Depresso. I know, depressing. The next day, we mined blue rocks, went back to the base, and equipped our new Daydreams. We then made Daydream's necklace. This allowed Daydream to be constantly out and attacking for us. So we literally had 3 Daydreams following us. It was really OP. Feeling confident, we went out and found an abandoned mineshaft. At the end of the tunnel, there was a strange man inside with some sort of torture chamber. He allowed us to buy and sell pals. Although, I'm not really sure what you do to them after we sold them. So, we sold our sheep. On day 10, we added chests to both the logging site and the stoning site for easier transportation of wood and stone. We then made 22 balls, or 11 smurfs, and took our Daydreams out of the party. They were good, but it made catching pals a problem as they kept killing them. Finally, we made arrows and went out in search for some juicy pals to tame. We found some devil-like chickens and decided to catch 10 of them. And I'll be honest, we didn't really do this much for XP, but rather for our personal desires. And by the end of the run, we gained 2 extra levels. Damn! After a hard day's work, we spotted a Nightwing. Feeling lucky, we shot him, hoping to catch him. This stupid-ass cat will not leave me alone. Oh, God. Remembering we only had 2 lives left, we grabbed our trump card and turned him into cooked chicken, only just managing to lob my balls into his face. Yes! We got him! After capturing our first flyer, we spent the day catching more pals for XP, such as Foxbox, Gumos, and some sexy, sexy penguins. And we even came across a Vixie. These were pals that can literally dig up 3 Pokeballs when assigned to a ranch. So, we caught 3. By the end of the day, we found a village hidden in the leaves. And there wasn't really much here other than a trader. So we teleported back to base and got some shut-eye. After a good night's sleep, we made a saddle for Chillit. We also made something called a furnace. This basically would allow us to smelt ore to create better equipment and armor. So, we did exactly that. We found this weird looking rock which gave us copper and shoved it into the furnace. While we were doing this, our Vixies were literally shitting out Pal balls. This was truly a blessing from the Pal gods. Anywho's, we crafted 10 nails of our ingots and made a high quality workbench and crafted our brand new metal tools. Mining was now way faster. After having a wet dream about metal tools, we decided to take it up a notch and craft a metal spear along with a crossbow. This was turning my dream into reality. We were also running low on storage space, so we made a few chests as well. After sorting out the base, we went out on Chiller and he was fast and long. Not only that, but the crossbow was insanely good. At this moment in time, I felt powerful. Feeling cocky, we attempted to tame 2 deers, and it actually went well. Like any other Pokepal trainer thing, we caught some more pals. We even caught our own Pikachu and found the Great Naruto Bridge. On the other side were some angry men and a pal in a cage. Dirty bastards. We took them out and freed this ugly-ass looking fish land thing. I don't know. I don't even know what that is. By day 13, we were still out capturing mons. So after a successful expedition, we headed back and had tons of pal spheres. Like, loads. Like Honga Longa Nonalagongas loads. It was insane. After celebrating, we gathered tons of metal, crafted some rusty nails, and made a pal sphere workbench. This would allow us to make better pal spheres. We then upgraded our armor and made 10 megaspheres. Having better pal spheres was a relief. And lastly, we made something called a hot spring. This would in short stop our pals from going absolutely insane. So we threw Doomwood in there as he stinks. And finally, we made a berry plantation. We caught our first shiny! Sadly, it was a shitty sheep. We spent most of this day catching pals to level up and even found a cool looking castle. Our journey ended when we stumbled across a level 30 dragon. Fuck that. After catching tons of pals on day 14, we were slowly getting ready to take on the first tower boss. So, we made a mega shield along with metal ingots and cloth and crafted a Nightwing saddle. This thing was going to take forever. But whilst we waited, we attempted our first dungeon. In there was loads of riches, like huge paldium rocks, and even sulfur. Exploring the dungeon further, we found a boss fox box. We took it on and managed to knock it off the cliff. Our daydreams got it low, and luckily we managed to catch it. And towards the end of the dungeon was loot, baby! We found some rubies, a weird looking dirty book, and an attack pendant, which raised my attack. Nice. After realizing the low level dungeon wasn't too hard, we did another, and this time, it was a boss hoot crates at the end. We defeated him and claimed all rewards inside as our own. This was epic. No pun intended. The next day, we made an egg incubator. We made this in hopes to one day hatch some OP pals. By then, our Nightwing saddle was finally ready, and we could now fly on Nightwing. So we jumped on his back. And he was pretty fast. We found a victim and struck the huge plant like a jet, knowing we could fly away if needs be. Not dealing enough damage, we hopped off Nightwing, picked up Foxbox, and set the huge plant ablaze. And surprisingly, we caught him. Feeling powerful, we went to our first proper boss dungeon. And in there was a giant penguin along with 3 little minions. We jumped on Chillit and immediately started getting blasted by ice balls. Chillit fainted, and that's not all. Our shield was destroyed. This was extremely bad. We dodged away and killed a minion, then the next, and finally, all 3 were slain. We only had the boss remaining, so we picked up Foxbox and set him ablaze. And after a while, we caught him. The king of penguins was trapped in our balls for all eternity. After our near-death experience, we immediately fled back to base and healed our team. After this, we found an electric egg in our inventory. I don't know where this came from. And put it in for incubation. Towards the end of the day, we started to make Pengullet's rocket launcher and hatched our newborn egg. It was a weird looking cloud thing called Dazzy. Cool. We took Nightwing out on a spin and found a massive green egg on top of a mountain. We came across this abandoned church with a chest, green Liftmonk effigy, and a statue of power inside. Also, for anyone that doesn't know, those green glowy things basically just increase the capture rate of pals. Anyway, we ignored it and stumbled upon another plant man. We set it ablaze and threw our balls at it. And finally, after a few attempts, we caught it. We caught extra pals for XP and put our new Dinosaur friend onto our team. We were now ready to take on the first boss, or so I thought. Once we went in, we couldn't come back out. We had to win this, or we would have one life left. So, we decided to go in. The first tower boss was Zoe and Grisbolt. Grisbolt being a lightning type, and Zoe being a sexy type. I mean, human type. We threw Plant Man out and shot Grisbolt. He jumped on us rapidly and almost took our shield out. We were getting shots in. A Dinosaur was dealing huge damage. We threw out Foxbox and set him ablaze. We swapped back to Dinosaur and appeared to be dealing good damage. With 8 minutes left, we had already took him down to half health. This was looking good. We swapped to Chillet and he froze Grisbolt. Picking up the Foxbox again, we set him ablaze. He was low, and so was Zoe's ego at this point. We threw out Dinosaur, who was also one-tap, and managed to finish off Grisbolt and Zoe. We had not only beat them this day, but gained respect from the Pal gods. We were rewarded handsomely with a huge boost of XP, leveling up all of our pals simultaneously. And like any other person would, we teabagged Zoe with pride. Today was a mark of victory. On day 18, we finally finished Pengullet's rocket launcher and made a small feed bag. This would allow the pals in our party to eat automatically, so we didn't have to feed them. After realizing how basic and boring our base was, we decided to spend the rest of the day sprucing it up. We lit up the base with torches, made a table along with a chair, more torches because we liked them, and other furniture stuff, things that you put in a house. I don't know. And let me tell you, it looked hot. Feeling the urge to blow something up, we went out with our new Pengullet RPG. We loaded him in and shot an innocent bird. This was a beautiful weapon. We caught more pals for XP, including a pink candy floss sheep and even a fucking cow. And lastly caught a yellow Sonic the Hedgehog. After a full-on catching massacre, we came across a water dragon boss called Azorobe. We caved his face in with Nightwing's wings and fled. We went back to base and made some extra storage. Towards the end of day 19, we were wandering around on the Nightwing and found this glowy tree along with a Liftmonk effigy. This tree literally gave us 3 skills. We gave one of them to Foxbox. It was day 20, and we were officially 1/5 of the way to beating this challenge. We started the day off by hatching our huge green egg we found a few days ago, and we got a Dinosaur. Fuck! On the bright side, we could now officially make metal armor. We also crafted a PAL condenser. This essentially lets you merge a family of pals into one, making them stronger. Pretty messed up if you ask me. After making our upgrades, we slid down the mountain and fell into a river of water. We were stuck. We threw out Nightwing in hopes to be freed, but nothing. Luckily, we threw out our blue ferret friend and managed to escape. Man, if we died then, I would have been pissed. After almost drowning for the second time, we gathered metal, made some ingots, and used the PAL condenser to level Foxbox up to star 1. He was now roughly 5% stronger, I think. Later on, we hatched an egg and got a literal candle. So, we made him our slave and let him smelt ingots. After a hard day's work of mining, we could now make a metal helmet to go with our armor. And by the end of the day, we could craft 7 gigaspheres. This was the strongest PAL sphere we have ever touched. The next morning, Penkin got to work on the Gigaspheres. Meanwhile, we showed those devil chickens who the real alpha bird was. We mined even more metal, smelted it, and by then, our Gigaspheres were ready. With new spheres in hand, we went up north in search for stronger pals to tame. We came across a land of grass types, including butterflies, green things that stand, and even a flower with 4 bums. The green standing thing decided to fuck me up. He almost killed us. Luckily, our fox box was super effective when burning him, so we lobbed our balls at him and caught him. We caught as many pals as we could. Towards the end of the day, we came across another really strong pal called Loop Moon. We shot him, and Dinosaur did insane damage. We threw our spear at him and managed to actually catch him. At this very day, we were now a force to be reckoned with. It was the next day, and we spent all night out catching pals. After wandering around, we found a glowy hound, so threw a round, spear at the hound, and it was bound to be ours. I couldn't think of anything else. But we had a hound. We tamed more hounds and went back to the sea dragon to conquer it. However, accidentally, we did a little too much damage. Cheering us up, we came across another vanworm. So we shot Pengullet at it, and it blew up. Luckily, we were given a second chance, as there was another vanworm. This time, we made sure we caught it. And to end the day off, we even made a vanworm saddle. These guys did some serious damage. Like, look at this. They were one-shotting every starter pal in our path. On day 23, we started off making more Gigaspheres. We also realized Vanworm's saddle was done, so we took him out on a spin, and he was fast. With our new speed, we traveled out and decided to take on a Mammarist. Foxbox set it ablaze, and we did good damage. We picked up Foxbox again, and this guy was low. Out of anger, he hurled 2 leaf tornadoes right at us. We threw our Gigaspheres at him, but no hope. Oh, shit. Out of fear, we killed him. That was close. Sadly, we did not have a big green mammoth. So, we got the next best thing. A duck! After capturing the beast, we were so happy that we got launched into the air and landed safely. On day 24, we went out on Vanworm and sold our goods to the merchant for some $1. We then went back to base and made a dire house saddle. We had a fast flying mount, but on foot, we were really slow. So, we used our shiny dire howl for transportation on foot. He was fast and huge. On day 25, we took on King Packer, a level 23 boss. And I'll be honest, our Robin Quill did insane damage. He was absolutely destroying the boss. And eventually, we caught him. King Packer was no match for Robin Quill. We spent the rest of the day mining, smelting, and making pal spheres for some innocent pals to conquer. On day 26, we started off the day by making metal storages. These metal storages had loads of space, which definitely helped. With the extra space, we gathered Paldium fragments for more pal spheres and literally spent the rest of the day making Gigaspheres. After crafting loads of pal spheres, we went out and caught more pals for XP. We also took on a huge-ass cat. We caught it pretty easily. And after a fly around, we came across a bee. A queen bee. A lizard bee. We shot her with Vanworm and moved back. Robin Quill was at the front, defending us from the swarm. We moved in like a beekeeper taking honey from his bees and got heavily damaged by a lizard bee. We were low. They wanted me to buzz off, but that's not all. We managed to just catch a lizard bee, and suddenly, a lizard bee's minions decided to self-destruct. I didn't know bees could fucking blow themselves up. We threw our balls in between ourselves and the explosive device and caught her minion as well. We were saved by the ball. Towards the end of the day, we found a cool new base spot, and it was big. Maybe one day we could live here. On day 28, we went into the snowy biome for the first time. And surprisingly, we weren't freezing to death. We came across the next tower boss, knowing one day we would return and take the head of whoever lives in here. After looking around, we came across a mysterious lake in the middle of the snowy biome and a huge egg. Like, massive. After traveling further, we found a desert, but sadly, as we got close, we started to burn. We would need better equipment before going into there. On the bright, non-deserty side, we found a very cool looking base spot with plenty of space. 100%. We will consider this as a base option for when we move. Also, I forgot to mention, at this moment in time, we were planning to move, as our base spot just wasn't big enough for any more upgrades. We came back to base, deciding it was officially time to move. But first, we would need to level up our base one more time, just so we could make another base without having to destroy the PAL box. So, the next day, we made a cooler box. This was the final structure needed to level up our PAL box and make another base. After our upgrade, we traveled to our new home. It was spacious. We placed down a PAL box in the center and built our house. We spent the next few days placing down all of our new furniture and necessities that we would need. I'll try to make this as quick as possible, but we made a storage box, workbench, repair bench, power gear workbench, logging site, stone pit, power beds, area for storage, food box, pusher, storage boxes, berry plantation, 2 ranches, 2 forges, a breeding farm, statue of power, more storage boxes, a better workbench, weapon workbench, a war sect? Yes! We got a war sect! Nice! Anyway, now just a human, torches, and finally, even more metal chests. Damn! That was a good montage. Meanwhile, we almost obliterated our base at home for materials to make our new base. And it did not look the same. We took one last look around before destroying our power box. This was goodbye to our first ever base. You served us well. And by day 34, we had finally finished making our new base. This was well worth it. But we weren't done yet. Not only did we want a comfy base, but an automated one as well. We plopped our power box down like a bird taking a huge dump on the ground. We added mining piles to mine the metal, sliced up some trees, made pile beds, along with a feed box. On day 35, we continued with the mining base and added a planter, waterer, and harvester pal, ready for a steady production of berries so our little miner friends wouldn't starve. That sounds very, very wrong. But this was perfect. We had the miners mining and the transporters transporting the metal into boxes. Meanwhile, we had infinite food, so they could literally mine forever. And the best part, I don't have to pay them a dime. This was full-on slavery at this point, and I'm all for it. To put the cherry on top, we made a furnace. This would allow us to smell ore in this base, so we didn't have to travel. And finally, a hot spring, so our pals wouldn't get too stressed, knowing they would be locked up here, mining for the rest of their miserable lives. The next day, we spruced up our new base as it needed the last final touches. We added a hot spring, a sphere workbench for all our bowls, an egg incubator, and a PAL condenser. Meanwhile, on the inside of our base, we created a fireplace along with torches, chairs, and a table. Our base was looking sexy. On day 37, we had a look at our brand new base. And honestly, it was actually way better than our old one. Kinda hard to settle in though. We went out and took on some bosses, such as the Penguin King from Mario. He got ruined. And Katras, the Queen of Cats. She got ruined. After building our base, our new objective was simple. To get as strong as possible and annihilate the next tower boss. On day 38, we went back to the abandoned mine shaft and sold some pals to our wonderful friend. And from doing so, we got 30 smackaroonies. I know. Although, I wasn't really sure why he would give me 30 big boys for a few pals. I don't know. Feeling a little guilty, we flew back to base. We came back to our new mining base and smelted 80 ingots from literally nothing. This new base was OP. Finishing the day off, we made 41 gigaspheres. By far the most we could ever make. We were getting much stronger. With all the new metal we've gathered from our mining base, we could now craft heat-resistant metal armor. After crafting our fire armor, we could now venture into the desert zone. And sure enough, we weren't burning. Over there was loads of cool looking pals we've never seen before. Although, they were like level fucking 40. I would easily be killed by them. And we even found a lightning dinosaur. Sick. We found a camp. And in there was a pal merchant. There was loads of cool looking pals we've never even discovered. In the desert was loads of chests just lying about. No clue what idiot forgot to bury their treasure, but I'll happily take free loot. And let me tell you, the loot was good. And weirdly enough, just like the snow place, there was a huge random lake in the middle of the desert. Strange. On this day, something eventful happened. We came across two strong-looking pals towards the back of the desert. Palladius and Necromus? Necromus? I don't fucking know. Anyway, these guys were actually two legendary pals. The strongest of the strong. I only personally found this out while I'm editing this right now, but the current Jack you're watching had no fucking clue that they were two legendaries ready to destroy his soul. Luckily, they left us alone. The last thing we did in the desert was find a cool looking Bowser-like turtle thing called Digtoise. And luckily enough, we managed to catch it. This guy was known as the Miner Pal. No, not a miner. Don't worry, he's a miner. Good at digging. Anyway, it was getting dark. So, we went back to base with our souls still intact. Our soul may have been intact, but our base was not. Our base had vanished. What the fuck? We spent the rest of the night rebuilding. The next day, we built a metal chest next to our PAL box. This way, we could transfer items between bases much faster. We spent a lot of this day mining until eventually we could make something called a production assembly line. Basically, it was a better version of the workbench. But first, we needed some energy. So we fucked up some lightning pals, robbed their organs, and used them to make an electrical generator. Cool, right? This generator would power our new assembly line. So, we made it. And boy, it was cool. The next day, we start off by mining more copper and crafted a better shield. We teleported to the land of snow and found some new places to explore. It looked beautiful. We also came across this strange structure with 4 chests. We continued up north and found another snowy place. And it was huge. We climbed up the mountain, hoping for a better view. At the top of the mountain was a beautiful view of 5 towers. Honestly, this was a cool island. But it was getting cold, and we were slowly dying of hypothermia. We saw a teleport point and ran. With barely any health left, we just managed to TP away. That was way too close. At this point, we spent the next few days killing bosses, making pal spheres, hatching eggs, and creating new weapons such as the grappling gun and handgun, and even found a massive flaming egg. By then, it was now day 48. Jumping from day 42 to 48 sounds like a lot, but trust me, we literally did nothing but grind. Remember that large egg that we found in the montage? Well, today, we hatched it. We got something called Kitson. Cool. We ventured out and found a lava biome. How did we not know this existed? Anyway, we stumbled across this huge lightning bird boss called Beacon. This guy was tough. We just managed to catch him. And not only that, but we got a full-on legendary blueprint. No way. The next day, we decided on working towards making the legendary handgun. We mined loads of ingots, bought high-quality pal oil from the merchant, and while we were at it, bought an extra dig toys for faster mining. On day halfway there, or day 50% done, we created fires around the eggs for faster incubation. We also mined some more copper with our pal slaves, friends, and could now finally make the legendary handgun. Yes! And fuck. This was gonna take forever! In excitement for our new toy, we bought a shit ton of ammo. And while we're over here, we stumbled across a weird looking spiky island thing in the water. It was a wildlife sanctuary, a place where no humans were found. I shouldn't be here. On the way back, we came across a massive fire egg. And when we got home, we hatched our own fire egg and got Ragnarok. This was one of the fastest non-legendary flyers in the game. Also, at this point, I've not really shown much of my team. But, you know, considering we're getting close to taking on something that could easily end our whole career, I think I will. Starting off, we have Warsect, a grass and ground type. He's strong and has insane defense capabilities. Next is Beacon, a flying lightning type. When ridden, any damage you deals electric damage. The boss we're aiming to capture is a water type, so lightning will be perfect. Number 3 is Vanworm, a second flyer, just in case Beacon dies. Second to last is Elizabeth. She is a literal bee, a strong one at that, and deals tons of damage. And last but not least is Kitsun, a really powerful fire type that negates both the heat and cold when ridden. We were ready. The last thing we did on day 51 was make a sphere assembly line. This would allow us to create better pal spheres. Waking up on day 52, we found a random bug trespassing. Oh, he didn't escape. Poor guy. We went out to the lava biome in hopes to see some new awesome pals. And we caught a few as well. After scouting the area, we headed out for more pals to tame. And finally, after so long, we managed to catch our first Mamarus. And I'll be honest, this was way easier than I thought it would be. However, this was only a basic Mamarist and not the boss one, so it wasn't really an amazing feat. We traveled far and came across this giant skeleton along with a humongous sea serpent. This was no accident. We were looking for the almighty Jormuntide, and here he was sleeping right in front of us. We threw out our bumblebee and Jormuntide awoke. He was mad. Out of anger, he shot literal water at Elizabeth. Fuck that! I am not losing a life today. After seeing how strong this guy really was, we knew how much we had to train. So, we spent the rest of day 53 farming fire types for XP. After our grinding session, we mined some metal, had sex with the furnace, and made a saddle for Kitsun. On day 54, we were more hyped than ever. And just to show how hyped we are, we made hyperspheres. I know, right? Pretty hype. Jokes aside, we were getting ready for revenge on Jormuntide. So on day 54, we attempted to take on Mamarus, the king of the forest. We got the high ground and threw Kitsun out. He almost died. We swapped to Vanworm, but nothing. Not even Warsect could handle this beast. And there goes Elizabeth. Yep. We were not ready for that either. We had to think of something fast, as it was already day 54. So, we spent the rest of the day crafting our legendary handgun, and after so long, finally it was done. Was it worth the wait? Absolutely. This thing was broken. Feeling confident, we went back to Jormuntide with a gun and a dream. We threw our beacon to deal lightning damage and used our gun for extra damage. Beacon was massively damaged, and so were we. This was bad. We were so lucky that Jormuntide fled, or we would have been dinner. But I wasn't done yet. We shot him again on a higher point and dealt good damage. Oh, fuck. We luckily escaped with our bird, and then he shot it down. Yeah, we weren't messing with him for a while. And to top it off, we had to walk home as our flyer was out of commission. This wasn't over, Jormuntide. After getting home, we spent the next few days hatching eggs, mining metal, making spheres, doing dungeons, catching bosses, and ultimately everything to do with gaining experience. We bought bullets, made more egg incubators, teabagged an islander, fuck you bitch, upgraded our furnace, and made a Ragnarhawk saddle. Although, it sounds like we did a lot in this period of time. All you need to know is, we gained XP, got a saddle for our new flyer friend, and made a scatter sphere launcher. And let me tell you, not only was this thing expensive, but watch this. Who the fuck would want to shoot 100 balls out of a tube for one singular pal? This was absolute dog shit. Like, I'd rather lick my own cat's bumhole than have this thing. It was terrible. We made a saddle for Beacon. We had a plan. Beacon was an electric bird that makes the user's attack deal lightning damage. So, we made a ton of ammo and went back for Jormuntide. This was it. We flew back to the notorious skeleton, and sure enough, he was there. We landed Beacon on a bone, and we were dealing good damage. More than before. Jormuntide was firing back, but we dodged. And after a few shots, we had already done insane damage. We got hit once, however. It's game over. So we had to be very careful. And we had officially taken down the sea serpent to half. This was good. We continued shooting and dodging until suddenly we ran out of ammo. We landed and Beacon was holding his own. The leveling paid off. Oh, shit. I was close. We let Beacon handle it further. This was definitely looking good. The main question is if we had enough spheres. Although hyperspheres are good, this guy was a level 45. We did have 41 gigaspheres as a backup at least. We threw out Wartech and Jormuntide went flying. No! Oh, there he is. And somehow we managed to get stuck in a tree. Taking no chances, we threw a Gigasphere at him. Gigaspheres don't work on Jormuntide! No! We tried throwing out Hyperspheres at him, and we ran out. No way. If we literally brought more spheres, we would have had him. We finished him off for XP instead. At this moment, I'll be honest, I felt defeated. But I wasn't giving up yet. We went to work immediately on making Ultra Spheres, the next best sphere from Hyperspheres. So, we mined some coal from the desert and made something called carbon fiber and refined our metal ingots. Basically just a better ingot. And lastly, cement. With this, we could now make 5 Ultra Spheres for Jormuntide's snake-like body. On day 66, we enhanced the stats of Beacon in the Statue of Power, allowing him to deal more damage. We then bought more ammo and made more spheres. We also made more Hyperspheres as a backup and cooked more food for the fight ahead. We were now ready to take on Jormuntide yet again. We traveled to Jormuntide's immediate location. The beast was there. We got on Beacon yet again, flew up high and sniped him. He was mad and hurling water balls right at us. He was half and our pistol was proven well. With 300 bullets left, there was no chance we would fail. Jormuntide hit us mid-air and took out our shield, but we recovered. After shooting him for literally the whole night, he was finally low. We threw a Hypersphere right to his face. 3%, 25%, 100%! No fucking way! Our bird had a boner. And that's not all. The first ball we threw, we caught him. What the fuck? After our triumph, we flew back to base victoriously. We got back to base, and he was huge. Although this guy was long and great, it was no time for celebration. Now, with our new water-type friend, we could capture his fiery counterpart, Jormuntide Ignis, a fire-type snake. We traveled to the volcano place and found another Pal sanctuary. This is supposedly where Jormuntide Ignis would spawn. And there he was. And trust me when I say this, it was so easy to catch him. Jormuntide was OP. With one of the strongest water types and fire types in the game, we were ready to take on Tower Boss number 2. Also, not very important, but he was fast at smelting metal too. It was day 69. Oh yeah! Feeling confident, we repaired our gear and headed straight for the next tower boss. We reloaded our gun and went in. It was Lillian Lylene, the grass-type tower. We threw our Fire Snake out and started pumping lead into her brain. Fire Snake set off a huge fireball, dealing insane damage. She was coming after us, so we kept firing and dodging. She set off 2 leaf tornadoes, but we dodged, and a giant water ball barely missing us. Lylene threw out seed mines, and this was ripping into our fiery boy. If he died, it's all over, as he was our main damage dealer. So we threw out Ragnarhawk, and he was doing well for a bird. She was half, and with over 8 minutes remaining, this was good. Throwing out Fire Snake like a boss, we were close to taking her out. It was Kitson's turn, and he was hitting like a truck. Lily and Lylene were low. Before their well-deserved death, we threw our balls in their face. The ultimate disrespect. And we had just killed the second boss, baby! Yes! Wow, this game is easy. Wow! I'm so good. Sadly, it was no longer day 69. We made refined ingots and traversed to the edge of the map. Over there was a boss called King Packer Crest, an ice variant of King Packer. He was strong and had tons of health. After chipping away at the ice cloud, we took him out. Sadly, without catching him. We did, however, get what we came for, something called pure quartz. This allowed us to craft circuit boards, which means we can make a Palsphere assembly line too. If you're a little confused, we're basically doing this to make even stronger Palspheres. We also needed something called polymer, which is basically just high quality pal oil. So we killed some Mammarist, and lastly caught a merchant. Surprisingly, it was actually quite easy. following day, we gathered more resources such as polymer and pal fragments for the sphere assembly line 2. And by day 72, we could finally make a sphere assembly line 2. This took the whole team to build this bad boy. We could now officially mass craft ultra spheres. So we gathered all materials needed and made 10 of them. Damn! After getting stronger pal spheres, we came across a Cryolinx. This was the strongest non-legendary ice pal in the game. But first we killed a Mammoth for Palworld. Anyway, we threw out Fire Snake and it was 2-on-1. We swapped to Kitson and boy, he did do damage. Cryolinx was one tap, so we threw our balls into his mouth and finally caught him. Our team was now considerably stronger. We also took on his friend and caught him too, just to make sure we got a good one. Our team consisted of Fire Snake, Cryolinx, Kitson, Water Snake, and our fast flyer boy. Although we technically had 3 fire types, this would be beneficial to us, as soon we will be attempting to take on Frost Stallion, the Legend of Ice. Towards the end of the day, we made a fluffy pal bed to level our base to level 15. This means we can now make another base spot. We could officially have 3 bases. So on the next day, we found a huge coal spot and set up camp, exactly like we did for the copper farm. I'm not going to get much into detail, but we set it all up, and our pals were immediately getting to work. Let's just say we got over 300 coal that day, and turned it into 137 refined ingots. Yeah. Today was a good day. After getting considerably stronger, we took on the king of pals, the alphas of alphas, the big boys of the big boys, the boss, Mammoth. Finally, we were back and ready to settle our debt. Fire Snake gave Mammoth a good zapping, dealing huge damage, followed by a flamethrower. And within 20 seconds, this guy was already half health. Kitson was up next, and he wasn't playing around. This was it. Finally, we threw our balls into the Mammoth's mouth like we said we would on day 1. And I vowed on that day that one day we could put him in our balls. But it failed. And again, and again, and again. And finally, we threw another, but it failed. No. This guy wasn't staying in no matter what I do. We threw a better sphere. And yes! Wow. We just caught the big boy daddy 69 9000 elephant guy. GG's all around. On day 76, we repaired our handgun and bought some ammo. We were ready for war. With our new repaired weapon and some extra bullets, we flew to the infamous Jet Dragon, the legendary dragon that lives in the volcanoes. And there he was, sleeping there as if he knows he's a boss. What a G. Like any other pal trainer would, we woke him up with some ice. The dragon spewed purple flames, dealing massive damage. Cryolinx froze him, which luckily gave us enough time to fall back. But Cryolinx just wasn't dealing enough damage. And yet he was almost dead. We retreated. Jet Dragon, you better not be asleep next time, or we're gonna shove our balls right up your nostrils. We didn't really do anything too exciting on day 77, other than hatch a few eggs. We also made some spheres and captured a few pals. Basically, we were just grinding out at this point. My thought process was, the more levels we got, the stronger we would be against Jet Dragon. And it was the same for day 78. Although today, we were grinding Cryolinx. You know, those really strong ice types. Our plan was to merge our friends as one to massively increase their stats. I mean, if you think about it, the stronger ice type we had, the better. However, on day 79, something eventful happened. After wandering around, we came across this stone looking like Lucario, Anubis. We threw out Verdash as he was a grass type which was strong against ground. We also did grass type damage ourselves, thanks to Verdash's passive. Anubis was a quarter. Ow! This guy did some hefty damage. But we continued to fight. Stone Lucario dodged Verdash and switched targets. He struck us like a lightning bolt and did insane damage. Ooh! He tried to finish us, but missed. We got the fuck out of there quickly. We took him on for a second attempt. This guy was worth dying for. We let Kitson have a go, and he got mauled. And at this moment in time, I shit you not, Anubis was stuck in a wall with his head poking out. We did insane damage. And finally, throwing a ball assisted with his escape. He was now free from the rock, but not from our balls. Come on. Yes! We caught an Uber Spinner! That was extremely close. If we died there, this challenge would be near impossible. But it was worth it. This guy was broken. Without wasting time, we grinded up power fluids with our firefall. With our stone Lucario. We needed these for higher quality spheres. After a good sesh of slaughtering fish things, we made incendiary grenades. Grenades that explode into fire. We had a plan to take down Frostallion, an ice legendary. With having 2 insanely good fire types, it was only natural to take on Frostallion first, then use the legendary ice type to beat the legendary dragon type. And with this team, we could conquer the whole world. After getting our powers ready, we flew out to the ice biome and found Frostallion. And let me tell you, this mythical creature was majestic. We lobbed our grenade. Nice shot, Jack. We threw another. This time it was sure to hit, dealing a massive 9 damage. Wow. These grenades are so good. Yeah, they're terrible. Jumping onto higher ground, our fire snake was eager to melt this giant ice-winged beast. Frostallion wasn't having it and ran straight past. After a while, Frostallion returned to her normal position. Kitten dealt decent damage. Frostallion did even more damage to us, rendering our shield useless. After going back and forth for I don't even know how long, Kitten attacked again, and suddenly, we were freezing to death. Luckily, Kitten removed the cold, but it was nighttime. And if we didn't have a fire type out, our health would deplete. This was getting intense. On the bright side, Frostallion was asleep. So, we took the opportunity to heal up. We woke her up with fire, sending her flying atop the mountain. We flew up, and there she was. Feeling confident, we jumped off Firebird and threw out Fire Snake. She took our shield. Fire Snake was dealing incredible damage. Until he didn't. Kitten was up, and he was dealing good damage. And yeah, that happened. All of our dreams, our hopes, they were crushed. It was day 80, with no legendaries and 1 life remaining. We were now playing on hardcore. We heavily underestimated Frostallion and paid the price. You may be thinking I was crushed at this moment, and I was. But now I had a purpose. Seeing Frostallion's strength firsthand only motivated me more. This was it. We spent the next few days gathering our gear back, capping more powers for XP, mining ores, and finally, by day 85, we were almost ready for a rematch with Frostallion. But before that, we gathered quartz, metal ingots, and carbon fiber to make an electric furnace. With this, we can now make Palmetal ingots, which is used to craft legendary spheres. With this in mind, we picked up Jormuntide by the head and threw him to victory land. And we need electric to start the thing. Fuck! We made the electric tower, and lo and behold, the electric furnace. Finally, we made legendary spheres. It was the next day, and we were crapping out spheres like no tomorrow. We put our legendary spheres in a safe place, traveled to our daily merchant for ammo, and caught some desert pals for XP. After our endeavor, we decided to craft cold-resistant refined metal armor, which was way better than what we previously had. Day 87 we spent doing nothing but grinding. And you can probably guess what happens next. More grinding. But we were grinding for a purpose. Frostallion. Today would determine the outcome of this challenge. We would either capture a legendary or die trying. We got ready by making a refined metal helmet for extra protection and gave Fire Snake an extra fire skill because he likes fire. And lastly, crafted our final spheres. We were now ready to go. Traveling back to Frostallion nervously, we suddenly got flashbacks of our previous death. We weren't going to repeat the same mistake twice. We took her on and lured her to a higher place. We were dealing insane damage, more than ever before. Kitten continued to fire onslaughts of devastation while we hid behind cover. This was going well, and we had already taken Frostallion down to 11k. Our power leveling had proven well. Swapping to Ragnarok, Frostallion took our shield, so we immediately fled and returned fire. We swapped to a higher landscape, and Kitten was proven to be highly effective. Oh, shit! Frostallion had made it up. That was close. Frostallion was stuck, but she managed to go back to her normal position. We sent Kitten in and almost got one shot. This is getting too close for comfort. If Kitten dies, our main damage dealer would be out of commission. It was getting dark, and we knew we had to step our game up. While Kitson recovered, Jormuntide did decent damage. His counterpart, Jormuntide Ignis, however, got one shot. We only had one main fire-type damage dealer left on the team. By then, Kitson was ready to go, and he went after her like a hound seeking for blood. It was midnight, and Frostallion went into a deep slumber. This battle literally went on for the whole night. By the next day, we were still fighting Frostallion, and she was half health. We don't have any time to waste. It was already day 89. Kitson, however, was dealing huge damage up until the point that Frostallion was actually getting low. At this point, it was almost nighttime of the next day. We had fought Frostallion for 2 fucking days. She was below us and on 1k health. This was our chance. One beep. No! No! She went down, so we threw it at her back. And suddenly, we got it! Oh! I was lost for words. We caught our first ever legendary. No fucking way! Although we only had 1 life left. This brought hope. And boy, oh, let me tell you, she was very, extremely strong. She literally has 13k health. It was day 90, and things were getting serious. We had only beaten 2 towers out of 5 at this point, with 10 days left. So, we made a plan to capture Jet Dragon, and with both legendaries, we could conquer the world. So, we spent a few days grinding and grinding. We crafted up more legendary spheres, tamed more pals, played football with Ragnarhawk's head, and caught even more pals. And finally, on day 93, we upgraded our assembly line, allowing us to create pal metal armor and hyper shields. By then, it was day 94. We had 6 days left and a dream to fuck up all tower bosses. Starting off, we made a pal metal headpiece, along with fire-resistant pal metal armor. This would heighten our defense considerably. With all our gear in check, we took on Jet Dragon, the most fearsome legendary in Palworld. We threw Frostallion out, and she did huge damage. Although, so did Jet Dragon. We removed Frostallion, and Jet Dragon immediately flew to us. Luckily, Ragnarhawk helped us escape. After recovering, he shot the ultimate fireball, taking Ragnarhawk out of the sky. This guy was a beast. In fear of the almighty dragon, we took higher grounds. And to our surprise, Jet Dragon was killed? What? This was bad! You're probably thinking, yay! Well done, Epic, you killed the dragon! No! We have 6 days left, and bosses don't respawn until 1 real-life hour has passed, which equates roughly to 2 extra days. This means we physically cannot catch Jet Dragon until at least day 96! Out of anger, we pet our merchant. While we waited for Jet Dragon to respawn, we bought ammo and swapped almost all pals for currency, knowing we wouldn't need them for the last few days. Pretty brutal, I know. And bought even more ammo with the money we just gained. Later on, we smelted the rest of the ingots and made Frostallion's saddle. We grabbed a few berries for the road ahead. Without wasting any time, we scurried over to the next tower boss like the insects we are. Whoa! It looks cool. It was Axel and Lightning and Dragon type. We threw our level 48 Frostallion out, and she did massive damage. This guy was ours. Frostallion continued to deal absolute massive damage, while almost ignoring all damage dealt to her. Having a legendary was something else. And while riding her, that sounds wrong, our weapon was super effective. Genius! And finally, the 3rd tower boss had fell. With 5 days remaining, we had more than enough time to beat the last 2. This was looking good. The next day, we traveled to Jet Dragon. This was it. With only 1 life left and nothing to lose, we were ready. But before we could even reach Jet Dragon, we started to randomly burn. I promise you, we literally didn't come close to any sort of lava. And yet, we almost died from it. We shot Jet Dragon with our icy gun. And honestly, it would have been more effective to tickle him at this point. It was useless. Jet Dragon fired back and launched a huge fireball, setting us ablaze. We were half health. We fled. Our flames went. And suddenly, they fucking came back. This is the shittest lava in any game ever. Panicking, we spam healed. Was this it? We were still burning and it wouldn't stop. Oh, God. Woo, that was close. 193 health left. On a serious, if we actually died then to invisible lava, I would have smashed my PC. After healing up, we gave it another go. You may be thinking I'm insane, but without Jet Dragon, I really don't believe we can beat the next tower boss. And he was back to full. Fuck! We sliced him with ice. He did damage. So we did it again. And it was working. We got set on fire and countered with ice wings. This guy was fierce and did tons of damage. After constantly going back and forth with this guy, Jet Dragon actually fell down the mountain, dealing huge damage to him. He was stuck down there for good. We shot the rest of our bullets into Jet Dragon, and after so long, he was low enough for my likings. We threw our balls majestically into the dragon's mouth, hoping for a new catch. Ah, nope. Again? Nope. Again? Please, please, please! Yes! We got Jet Dragon! We started to fly back, and we fucking started to burn again! Fuck off! We made it home just about in one piece with our goals hit. Not only did we catch Jet Dragon, but at the start of the video, one of our goals was to catch one of the strongest pals in Palworld. This was him. This beast had a minimum damage of 140 in moves and insanely good stats. We were lucky to get this bad boy. Like any other sane person would, we leveled him up as much as possible. The more damage, the better. With 3 days left and no time to waste, we got back to business and crafted some sweet, sweet ammo. This was a good day. It was day 97, and we wanted to take on the 4th tower boss. Knowing this was a fire-type boss, we made Jormuntad stronger by giving him an extra move. We grabbed some more berries for good measure and went to the big, bad bossy boo. Feeling stronger than ever, we went in excited to test out the powers of our new legendary. It seemed to be someone who was owner of the PIDF guys and very rich. Marcus and Phalaris. Bring it on. Immediately throwing out Jet Dragon, we were excited to see what he could do. We did damage. We swapped to our icy friend and rushed the big bird. This guy was hard to hit, so we swapped to Jormuntad as he could deal some serious damage being a water type, but not enough. It was Jet Dragon's turn, and I'll be honest, our guys were not hitting them. With Phalaris being a flying type, they were kind of just hovering over them. With 8 minutes on the clock, we had dealt decent damage, but we had to step up our game if we wanted to win this thing. So, we shot the crap out of it, hoping the bird would drop to the ground. But nothing! And we ran completely out of ammo. No! We had to rely on our legendaries at this point. We had no chance of beating them. Our pals literally were not locking on at all. And we had no ammo to do anything about it. Jet Dragon was getting the odd hit in, but that's it. With 5 minutes remaining, the bird was half. This was going to be extremely close. 4 minutes. Come on, Frostallion! This was our last chance. If we lost here, it's game over. 3 minutes. And Jet Dragon was finally dealing good damage. 2 minutes and 30 remain. I was panicking. Frostallion was dealing little to nothing. And every time we threw our pals out, their AI wouldn't lock on to anything. Like, what the fuck are you doing, Jet Dragon? 1 minute left. Our only hope was for Frostallion to deal enough damage. No! 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1! It was over. We died. No! In total, we were on this island for 97 days, with 3 days left and 2 towers remaining. Wow. Honestly, I didn't expect this ending at all. I was so confident with Jet Dragon that I decided to not even buy more bullets. We seriously underestimated the tower bosses.